billionaires. I'm going to turn the book over, and I'm going to say that on the back of the book, there is the most extraordinary blurb from the man who is on this this call with me. And you notice that Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, their wonderful blurbs never made it.
Right.
There's only one blurb that made it
Yes.
to this book, and that is yours.
One of my great achievements.
And
it's one of my great achievements.
I want to thank you
for my highest moments.
The system that he is running is a system that has increasingly been there for the very wealthy, the very privileged, the very powerful. But it's a system that increasingly has abandoned everybody else. And in this coronavirus epidemic, this terrible nightmare, we see once again the forces of Wall Street and corporate America getting a huge bailout, while the typical American gets what, $1,200 one-time payment? We see them getting tax breaks inside that bill. I don't know how many people watching this have actually read that bill. I don't recommend it unless you have tremendous problems getting to sleep at night. But it's a very big piece of legislation. Buried inside that piece of legislation are some tax breaks. It's not surprising for some big banks, for real estate investors, and for others. Again, this is how the system works, even in a time of crisis. And finally, let me just say that although Jamie Dimon hasn't sounded it, other big bank presidents and CEOs recently have said, we need to get back to work as soon as possible. What they're really saying, I believe, is we need to get the stock market back as soon as possible, because in America, in our system, the top 1%, the richest 1%, owns more than 50% of the entire stock market. They are not thinking about this as a public health crisis. They're not thinking about this in terms of all the frontline workers who are every day, including our hospital workers, subject to real risk and real possibility of getting this virus. What they're thinking about, and thinking about the society as, is an economy that is dominated by a stock market, which for the most part has really nothing to do with most people's real interests or what most people need.
Is America an oligarchy, yes or no, right now?
Yes, it is. And oligarchy is a great old Greek word. It means where, a society in which the wealth and the power are in the hands of a very few, relatively few people. It is an oligarchy, absolutely.
Should we have billionaires? And what is the highest level of percentage wealth tax that you would be comfortable with?
No, we shouldn't have billionaires, not because billionaires are bad people, but because the system, if it were actually working right, would not create billionaires. In other words, if you look at the micro system, you look at the building blocks of the system, you look at how the system is organized, the reason you get to be a billionaire is either because tax laws allow you to inherit huge amounts from your parents, which tax laws never used to quite allow in the United States, certainly the first part of the 20th century, or because you've got patent and trademark and intellectual property laws that allow you to maintain intellectual property rights far beyond what they used to be maintained, or because you've got insider trading information that allow you, and the insider trading securities laws never used to allow you to use the insider information to the extent that you can now use them. I could go on a long list, Anand, of ways in which the system has been altered over the years by people with a great deal of wealth and power so that they can become billionaires. It's not a matter of their talents. It's a matter of how the system is organized to allow billionaires. And if we had a system that is anywhere near the system we had, and I don't want to suggest that the system of the 50s and 60s and 70s was a golden age. It wasn't in many respects, obviously. But even there, we had a growing middle class, growing equality, less and less tolerance for corruption. In those years, we didn't have the billionaires because we had a system that was organized differently.